To read more of my reviews, check out anifilereviews.com or follow me on Twitter at MasakoX or at Anifile. Today's review, Jinsei. After a short break from reviews, I like to pick an anime which is light on exposition or is not so heavy in terms of philosophical surmising that I want to tear my head into. In short, I want some cute comedy. After discovering this anime and being surprised by the lack of coverage that it's received, I want to give it a leg up and talk about it. It's a show I've wanted to cover for a while, and now is as good as time as any. Enter Jinsei and its merry team, giving their classmates life advice with a comical twist. Yuki Akamatsu is a guy who is longing to find a girlfriend, but lacks the confidence to get himself out there and try his luck. He's then tasked by the journalism club's president, Ayaka, to head the school paper's life counselling section in order to keep the club open. In a fit of Jenga-based madness, Yuki agrees, and he is quickly introduced to the life section's members, Ikumi, Rino, and Fumi. The basic premise in each episode revolves around 3 to 4 letters from concerned students concerning topics such as part-time job problems, relationship quandaries, and even advice in attracting female members for a mob club. Quite random. Along the way, there are a couple of subplots to help keep the show moving forward, such as the romantic development between the scientific Rino and Yuki, as well as the rival newspaper team led by the pervy Asano, and their goal of beating Ayaka and her crew in order to absorb the members and readership into their own club. As of yet, there is a 4th character to join the trio named Emi. She has been alluded to in a letter delivered to the club, but as of episode 6 she hasn't appeared, which leads me to believe that she's the club's ace in the hole or a shark jump or some kind of negative or crucial plot point. Either way, it'll be a game changer in the story's flow. I really like Jinsei. It's got a strong and heartfelt message whilst also being genuinely funny. There were loads of times when I either chuckled or actually went back in the video and watched the clip again because I found it to be amusing. Not only that, but the idea of a life advice column is something which is relatable to students all over the world. The topics even match. It's something which can easily be transferred to different markets and not be lost in translation, or have to be drastically localized if at all. Yuki is a main character of sorts, but he knows when to get out of the way and let the 3 girls of the club take the reins. It's about them really, because they're the ones who are dishing out the advice. Makes sense if you think about it. Yuki has his own goal in trying to find a girlfriend, and it's clear that he will succeed with Rino, the quiet and aggressive tsundere stereotype, who has an encyclopedic knowledge on all things science-based. On many an occasion where Yuki would deserve a slap or a scolding, Rino doesn't seem to bear a grudge for long. It's cute but slightly predictable. Fumi, the kindly but busty and shy stereotype, does have some unusual quirks about her personality. She comes from an ancient samurai family with strong morals and manners, but she is beaten down verbally by her grandfather, and she actually starts to build a backbone after meeting Yuki. Who would have thought? The shy girl actually getting more confident on screen. Ikumi is pretty simple to read. She's the tomboy. That doesn't mean she's boring though. Most of the laughs are generated from her and the aftermath. In all, I like the characters. Despite their completely different backgrounds, they all have a common interest in helping people, and all unite under Yuki's leadership. This show is a little different in that it promotes itself as a show where it dishes out advice for unsure students. Since most anime fans are in their teens and 20s, the advice being dished out by the group can be relevant or indeed applicable to the audience. It's an anime which can be useful to some extent. Naturally, there are some variations between the letters and potential viewers, but the basic idea of the advice given can help a little bit potentially. The girls all have their own opinions and manage to combine them into a final paragraph for the school's bulletin board, where the advice is displayed, followed by a quirky sentence which is mostly contributed by Ikumi, and a oddball and brash comments. Is the advice they give any good? I would say so. It's quite diplomatic and measured whilst also being reassuring, like the writers took time to compose a believable piece of advice. It made it real for me, and as such solidified the show's spine as it were. It's not an excuse to shove sexy girls together. Unfortunately though, the experience is marred by the overabundance in fan service. It's not so bad in the first episode, but as the show plows on, the rate of boob pans, awkward moments of sexual tension, and wacky hijinks which lead to some kind of sexy result, usually involving Fumi, I wonder why, goes through the roof. It's almost as if the writer of the original light novel, Ogyo Kawagishi, and the anime's director, Keiichiro Kawaguchi, felt that the premise of giving advice wasn't enough to sustain an otaku audience, and thusly added cheap and unnecessary ploys, which simply left me feeling sad and disappointed, instead of their intended reaction. It comes off as desperate rather than arousing. Yes, there are some times when it can be considered slapstick comedy, where people fall down or get hit in the face with something, but the amount of times where the fan service is just there for no adequate reason displeases me greatly. It not only devalues my respect for Jinsei, but it makes me feel sorry for Fumi and Rino, who are usually the targets and focal points. That being said, it's not enough to destroy the show for me. The narrative has a habit of coming around and presenting something kind and thoughtful at me, in the form of a touching comment or a friendly moral being conveyed. These girls may be polar opposites, but they work together, and they want to. That makes me forgive the show for its kinky transgressions. Well, nearly forgive it. I just wish they'd tone it down at least a little. Jinsei is a cute comedy. I found it to be well presented, cleverly written, when the girls weren't thrust in my face though, and having a strong and yet light-hearted idea. I was left feeling happy from having watched this charming little slice of life show, yet it did leave a slightly sour taste in my mouth concerning the overplaying of the female form in certain scenes. Ikumi, Fumi and Rino make a good team, and Yuki a good leader. If you're looking for a comedy which has heart and a helpful message whilst also being quite relaxed, then Jinsei is your anime. Huh, that rhymes. My rating? Continue. Cute, caring, and charming. If you like what you heard, please visit my Patreon campaign to help grow Anifile at patreon.com/MasakoX, or follow me on Twitter at MasakoX, or at our new dedicated Twitter service at Anifile.